Now we give a question, a very important question. Why repurposing drugs? Yani, why to repurposing drugs for common disease, for rare diseases, or even for common diseases? The main answer will be because due to the cost. Yani, in azından, as I said before, for de novo synthesis, yani to have a new drug entity molecule, your cost will be in azından $1.3 billion, BB, yani billion dollar, big number during the 10 to 15 years, and it may reach to about $2.5 billion. So big cost, and most of the time during the de novo synthesis, you will have a problem of safety, toxicity, problems of pharmacokinetics, a lot of problems. But already your drug, which is approved by FDA, all of these steps approved from it. So let's now to make a general comparison. These are new chemical entities. I don't want to see their names, just as a concept, yani. These are new chemical entities. These are existing drugs with new formulation. And these are existing drugs with without new formulation. Tamam? Now, let's see a comparison between them. These new chemical entities by de novo synthesis, bakın, yani 58 million euro or 55 million euro for this type of drug. But for already existing drug, which is repurposed, just from 5 to 18 million dollar, big difference. And if you didn't make any change in the pharmaceutical formula, tamam, from masala a tablet, make it as an injection, for example, it will just make you to pay about $3 million, 3 million euro or 4 million euro. So big difference when you are using repurposed drug. So now another things further, you can know that now about 30% of new market entrants, tamam, are repurposed drugs. And even for now we are with COVID-19, many drugs are repurposed for it, as we know that, tamam. So really 30% is not a small number. And also 5 to 7 years to markets, because the 10 to 15 years for new drugs. Already you have a drug, their safety profiles, their toxicological profiles, most of things are already presented. So no problem. Sadaya, you can have 5 to 7 years to make your repurposed drug to the new disease. Tamam? Also, this is one of the benefits. And now about 45%. Or not now, yani Ganal Olarak, 45% of original drugs, as I said, fail as new drugs due to the safety problems. But repurposing of drugs mitigate this risk. Tamam? So all of these are big advantages to repurpose drug for rare diseases. Let's take examples. For example, the first example of repurposing, the first repurposed drug all over the world is thalidomide. We know that thalidomide is given for different types of indications, given, for example, for what is called for those pregnant ladies in the first trimesters. I know I forget the name of the, if they want to have emesis, yani, what is its name? I forget it really. For emesis in the first trimester. Ne hocam?
Türkçesi bulantı kusma.
Bulantı kusma.
Vomiting.
Vomiting. Evet, this term, I forget it. They give thalidomide for vomiting, also for insomnia, also for anxiety, different indications for thalidomide. one of the physicians noted that for patients with leprosy, tamam, because the patient which has a leprosy most of the time has anxiety. So he gave his patients thalidomide for their anxiety, and he said to them,
It's 12:30.
and he said to them, come to me after 3 months. And you can find this in his paper, very interesting paper. And after 3 months, he noted that by using thalidomide, the leprosy signs and symptoms decreased in very magic, in a very big magic words, we can say. So he discovered that thalidomide has another indication rather than for vomiting or for anxiety. He can use it and repurposing it also for treating leprosy. And now the first line for treating leprosy until now, of course, now there is not a big number of patients with leprosy, but the first line of leprosy now treatment is thalidomide. Tamam? So it's the first drug which repurposed. Now, if we came to take an examples of our rare diseases and repurpose drugs for them, we will find one of the rare diseases which is called Wolfram syndrome. Wolfram syndrome, in a nutshell, it is a genetic disease, affects children around 5 years old, and the patients exhibit diabetes and visual impairment, and at the end they will have blindness, and just it affects about 60 people in the United Kingdom. Now, for this rare disease, Wolfram syndrome, we are using sodium valproate to treat this type of syndromes, or this type of conditions came to children. And we know that sodium valproate has another indications, but it is repurposed here also for Wolfram syndrome. Pardon. Also, this is a paper talking about using of already existing medicines to discover and establish new treatments as a repurposed drug. It is also good paper, one of the good papers I read about the repurposed drugs from it. On it, they gave many examples to repurposed drugs. We can say, for example, there are many cases. For example, you can take this. You can take this masala case 2, tolcapone, which is repurposed to treat this type of rare disease, transthyretin amyloidosis, for example. Tamam. Tolcapone, I think it is for Parkinson or Alzheimer. I'm not sure, but it is already a drug used for common diseases. And now it is repurposed here to be used to one of the rare diseases, which is transthyretin amyloidosis. And other cases also Varder. Pardon. Tamam, this is a Ghazal title. Said that giving drugs a second chance means repurposing of them for cancer therapeutics, and a lot of repurposed drugs for rare diseases are present. Now, at the end of the presentation, I will give you examples which really are very strange. For example, this medicine, which is called Daparim, it's a trade name. The Daparim, Aslanda, its price is $13.5, and it is used to one of the common disorders. When it is repurposed to be used to one of the rare diseases, and one of the scholars discovered that he has worked in one of the pharmaceutical companies, they register and make the patents to themselves to this new indication to the rare disease, and they took the 7 years of exclusivity and pricing the drug from $13.5 to $750. You can imagine this big difference. Not just this, another drug called Genofalk. This is an off-label drug. As I have explained this concept of off-label drugs, this drug, firstly, its price €500, and it has used for one of the common diseases. Okay, but when it is discovered to treat one of the rare diseases, their patents and exclusivity to 7 years, they price this drug to be from €500 to €150,000 for a year treatment. Also big difference. Another example is this drug. This drug now, its price about bu number 200 مليون دولار in Turkish evet. 200 million dollar, tamam, in 2017. So the market of the orphan drugs, really it is a rich market for everyone who want to have big number of profits with less of time, with exclusivity, with tax credit, with a fee waiver, with an FDA clinical trial support, with a freedom in pricing of medicines, and a lot of things. So by all of this whole image, I complete my presentation, and these are my references. Thank you for your listening and your patience.
Thank you, Mohammed. Now I would like to return to other students. What kind of and I would like to ask a question. Could you sunumla ilgili birer soru sorar mısınız Muhammed'e? Emine, Eda.
İngilizce mi sorayım hocam? Yani direkt Türkçe mi sorayım? Muhammed, can you give an example of the drug before prison for
Türkçe sorabilirsin, nasıl istersen. Sesim gelmemiş.
Evet hocam, gelmedi. Muhammed, can you give an example of a drug before pricing in orphan drugs?
Orphan drugs that been discovered through drug repurposing.
Yes, can you give an example of?
Evet, one of the examples is this. Sodium valproate, for example.
Yes.
And here, this is a rare disease, اسمه Wolfram syndrome. As I said, its condition diabetes gibi yani, diabetes-like condition. The repurposed drug for this condition of rare disease, we use sodium valproate to treat this condition. Okay, and in the same paper, I put it in the references. They also used carbamazepine. Most of the time, the Daha-Ghazal results come with sodium valproate. Okay, yes. And also many papers in the literature talked about the off-labeling drugs. The off-labeling drugs, as I said, using of drugs in a specific type of disorders, but not approved by FDA. So until now, there are many off-labeling indications or uses of many drugs to different types of disorders, but without any approving. And they are using now them in different types of rare diseases. At the same time, they are doing their experiments until they get the approval from the FDA.
Okay, thank you.
Question and answer. Tamam. Teşekkürler. Teşekkürler İda.
Peki Mehmet.
Hocam yani Muhammed, ben de şunu sormak istiyorum. Orphan drug'lardan bahsettiğimizde aklıma geldi. Afrika'da mesela sıtma hastalığı, malaria yani çok önemli bir hastalık ve çoğu kişiyi etkiliyor. Yayılışı yani yüksek. Fakat orphan bir drug olarak değerlendiriliyor. Çünkü Avrupa'da gözükmediği için o konuda ilaç geliştirmeye ilaç firmaları çok yönlenmiyorlar. Çok bütçelerini ayırmıyorlar. Ben bunu etik görmüyorum yani. Sen bu konuda ne düşünüyorsun Muhammed? For anti-malarial drugs.
Mehmet, sorunu tekrarlayabilir misin?
Tabii ki.
Mehmet.
Tamam. Şimdi normalde Afrika'da sıtma hastalığı çok önemli bir hastalık. İnsanlara yani yayılışı çok yüksek. Zaten iklimen de uygun olduğu için sivrisineklerin yani Anopheles cinsi sivrisineğin yayılış gösterdiği bir uygunluğa sahip. Ve orada bir sürü insanın ölümüne neden oluyor ve kolay bulaşıyor. Zaten orada sağlık koşulları da yani hastaneler de o kadar gelişmiş değil. Fakat ben şunu sormak istiyorum. Avrupa'da mesela sıtma hastalığı görülmediği için ilaç firmaları sıtma ilaçlarını geliştirmeye pek yönlenmiyorlar. Orphan drug olarak değerlendiriyorlar. Yani pek değeri olmadığı olarak görüyorlar. Yani Avrupa'da geliştirilmedi yani olmadığı için o hastalık. Bana bu etik gelmiyor. Sen bu konuda ne düşünüyorsun diye sormuştum. Şimdi İngilizce olarak mı söyleyeyim?
Ben yani 70% anladım. As I understood, you said that in Africa, you give an example for malaria and its broadness in Africa, and you said that firmalar,
pharmaceutical companies, they don't have intent to improve drugs for malaria treatment. And it is, if you ask me, it is not ethical. And I am asking you, what is your opinion about that? Because disease isn't in Europe like in Africa.
Very good question.
So your question, now to confirm your question, you ask that there are a big number of patients with malaria in Africa, but the pharmaceutical companies did not deal in a good way with these big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Question like this or?
Yani evet.
Tamam. As I said before, and but in case of negligible diseases, ya da birincisi daima pharmaceutical companies, as I think yani, of course, it's like this. Pharmaceutical companies, they are thinking on profits. First of all, the first line profits. If this road for discovering and developing this medicine, at the end of its discovery and development, is it gaining or giving us more profits or not? If it will give good profits, tamam, we will go through this road. If there is no any profits, they will not go through this way. So for malaria, for example, and another negligible types of diseases, I don't know really. Yani, masala, for example, let's talk about my country. In my country, now, most of the time, the price of the anti-malarial drugs is so low, and the price of the anti-malarial drug is so low in my country. So for European country, for example, or American country, to produce anti-malarial drug to be given to, for example, 10 countries in Africa, I think the profits behind that with this too low price will not give them the profits they want, you see. But if you talk about diabetes, hypertension, all over the world, these types of diseases, yani further, there will not be any problem. I think about it as pharmacoeconomically. I don't think they are thinking just ethically something like this. Bilmiyorum. I think we must ask Hocam also.
I have actually another question based on this question. And actually, Mehmet very well know the answer because he prepared a review on drug repurposing. You mentioned about the new drug discoveries. Okay, not the new drug discoveries, the old drug, the using of old drugs in orphan diseases. But my question is the vice versa. Do you know any drug which are discovered for rare diseases, but then used in another diseases which is not a rare disease? Even it is very common diseases nowadays, especially.
You want to make this circle more small.
Ben sorumu Türkçe'de sorayım diğer arkadaşlar için. Muhammed çok güzel bir sunum yaptı ve aslında orphan ilaçların geliştirilmesindeki sıkıntılardan sonra düzelmesinden bahsetti ama orphan drug rare disease'ler için nadir görülen hastalıklar için drug repurposing kapsamında zaten başka hastalıklarda kullanılan ilaçların rare disease'lerde kullanılıp kullanılmayacağına yönelik işte araştırmaları gösterdi. Tam tersi var mı diye sordum. Yani bir şekilde nadir hastalıklarda kullanıldığı bilinen bir ilaç nadir olmayan bir hastalıkta kullanılabiliyor mu? Genel daha çok insanı etkileyen bir hastalıkta sonradan keşfedilip kullanılabiliyor mu?
I'm not sure really, Hocam. During my reading to literature, I'm not remember something like this, but I think maybe something like this vardır. I'm not sure.
If you are not sure, then I will ask the question to the students.
Hocam, COVID'de kullanılan sıtma ilacı mesela.
Yes.
Sıtma, malarya. Neydi? Kafam karıştı. Hidroksiklorotiyazid miydi?
Ay. Senin kafan karıştı.
Pardon hocam. Kinin ben gece biraz kızdım, rahatsız uyumadım da kusura bakmayın.
Sıçmada. Doğru da hidroksiklo doğru başlıyor.
Evet onu biraz karıştırdım hocam. Kusura bakmayın.
Yok. Hidroksiklor doğru ama hidroksiklorotiyazid.
Ben kardiyovasküler çalışmaktan kafa onlara gitti, klortiyazitlere gitti hocam kusura bakmayın. Sıtma, malaryalde kullanılan ilaçları şu anda COVID-19'da özellikle de ilk başta biliyorsunuz klinikte kullanımları bayağı yaygındı. Ben onu söylemek istiyorum.
İsmini söyle o ilacın.
Hidroksikinin hocam.
Hidroksiklorokin.
Klorokin, evet.
Yeah.
Ya da kinin. Evet.
Hocam, you see my slides now?
Yes.
You see it now?
Very small.
I put this slide until in the evening, yesterday in the evening, and as an example to the repurposed drugs, I put the clinical trials on drug repositioning for COVID-19 treatment as your question now.
Yes, but you didn't get into. You put, but you didn't remember.
Evet. So really, as you said now, hydroxychloroquine and many drugs, I think if we came to this column, we will find many drugs which are used for rare diseases can be used for COVID-19. But when you said common diseases, aklıma cardiovascular diseases, diabetes böyle düşündüm. COVID-19 onu unuttum yani. Tamam. And also
İlginç bir şey daha var. Özellikle sıtma ilaçları çok ilginç ilaçlar. Sıtma ve lepra. Sıtma ve leprada kullanılan ilaçlar drug repurposing anlamında başka pek çok yerde de kullanılabiliyor. bunlara bir bakarsan bu yayının sonuna bunları da eklersek çok güzel olur diye düşünüyorum.
Hangisi hocam?
Especially the drugs used in malaria and lepra.
Aha.
Because malaria is, if it is a rare disease for Europe, let's say, these drugs can be used not just in COVID, but also in other diseases for the drug reproposing concept. So if you can search the other indications of the drugs that used in malaria, it can be good addition to the paper.
Okay.
Thank you. So I will. It was really long time. I know there are some duties that you need to do. So Eda, if it is possible, Eda senin için uygunsa 2:30'da toplanabilir miyiz?
Tabii hocam, uygun.
So I'm closing. Let me stop the recording.